have another essay from To Be African. This one is To Be an African Teacher by Asaji Hilliard III. Pahotep instructs the ignorant in the knowledge and in the standards of good speech. A man teaches as he acts. The wise person feeds the soul with what endures so that it is happy with that person on earth. The wise man is known by his good actions. The heart of the wise matches his or her tongue, and his or her lips are straight when he or she speaks. The wise have eyes that are made to see and ears that are made to hear what will profit the offspring. The wise is a person who acts with ma'at, meaning truth, justice, order, balance, harmony, righteousness, and reciprocity, and is free of falsehood and disorder. Pahotep, in 2750 BCE, from the teachings of Pahotep, the oldest book in the world, written 4,750 years ago, an African book from Kemet, Egypt. Many of us do not know it, but African people have thousands of years of well-recorded deep thought and educational excellence. Teaching and shaping character is one of our great strengths. Girl, if you ever get into some hieroglyphics, let me tell you about that one. I took this class in hieroglyphics, and the stuff that they like, I can't even. It's so good. It's so good. It's really interesting. In our worldview, our children are seen as divine gifts of our Creator. Our children, their families, and the social and physical environment must be nurtured together. They must be nurtured in a way that is appropriate for a spiritual person whose aim is to build for eternity. What a pity that our communities have forgotten our jeles, I think that's how it's pronounced, Jeles, and our jegnas, Jegnas, our great master teachers. What a pity that we cannot readily recall the names of our greatest wise men and women. What a pity that we have come to be dependent on the conceptions and the leadership of others, some of whom not only do not have our interests at heart, but may even be our enemies. Some actually seek to control us for their own benefit through the process of miseducation, and that connects to The Miseducation of a Negro by Carter G. Woodson. And again, with that theme of the ways in which Black people have been saying these things for years, like no idea is solely your own. This idea must have been thought at least 100 times by our ancestors, our elders, our peers, and it's really what's the right word? I'm looking for a word in my brain. I can't think of the word in my brain right now, so if I think about it, I'll come back. Henry Berry of the Virginia House of Congress said said this about African people. Excuse me. We have closed every avenue through which light may enter their minds. If we can only extinguish the capacity to see the light, our work would be complete. And I want to connect that to the ways in which, one, only out of darkness can light be born, right? And in connection to that, the ways in which darkness or blackness or darkness, blackness has been considered evil. The way that people want to get away, want to whitewash, want to remove oneself, wants to erase Black history, Black life, Black everything. And it's only through, for me at least, from my perspective, it's only through Black studies, Black history, Black knowledge, Black culture, or an internal self, like going into the darkness of yourself, like that shadow work type of thing, where one can see that light. You know what I mean? Where that light can be born. Just a thought. I feel like I can expand on that, but anyways. Excuse me. So we have two primary reasons for knowing our heritage in education and child raising or socialization. Did you know that the reason we have public education, like compulsory, how do you say that word? Compulsory? Children are required to go to public school, right? Free public school is because of Black people. There's this book in my head. It's on my iPad, and I'm recording on my iPad. But there's this book, Education of of It's Either Negroes or Blacks in the South by something Anderson, where he discusses how schools were constructed within the Black community. It's so good. If I can think about the name before this video ends, I'll say it. But it's really interesting it's interesting to see that history, to learn that history. Okay, so one, we have the best developed teachings and socialization practices ever developed anywhere in the world. These practices are still good for us and others now. Two, the primary tool of our oppression is miseducation by our oppressors. We must regain control over the primary education and socialization of our children. Miseducation of a Negro, but I also think about we're going to keep going because you already know I'm about to go off on a tangent. Everywhere on the African continent, from the time of the pharaohs of ancient Kemet, in parentheses, Egypt, to the modern era, great African civilizations in many river valleys, from the Nile to the Niger and to the Cape, were the center of the most sophisticated education and socialization systems ever developed on the earth. Some of these civilizations developed in Africa long before other civilizations developed anywhere else in the world. The vestiges of these brilliant African creations can still be found in Africa and everywhere in the African diaspora, even today. We must consider our ancient traditions that made us respected teachers all over the globe. Our people must hold their heads high in all matters that pertain to teaching and learning. African traditional teachers were and are people of high character, who have deep respect for ancestors and for community tradition. African teachers accept the calling and the obligation to facilitate intergenerational cultural transmission. African teachers also strive for the highest standards of achievement in emerging science and technology, areas where the advances at the highest level have always owed much to African scholarship. Our genius is a part of the foundation of the revolution in knowledge in physics, mathematics, engineering, and cyber technology. Oh, that's why I had this book out. So I was like, why is this book out? The Ankh, African Origin of Electromagnetism. Girl. This book, girl, I want to make a battery. That's what I want to do. Girl, like, they have whole infographics and everything. I'm just like, it's talking about partially evacuated glass tube, coil or loop, inductance, plates for capacitor, DC voltage, like, oh, those are like hieroglyphs at the top. Isn't that, like, what? Like, what? Girl. I took this class in hieroglyphs. It was really good. I want to go back to school, to be honest. Because there's so much I have to learn. Or I can just ask the teachers for their syllabus. Be like, hey, you want to slide that to me or something like that? Our genius is a part of the foundation. Oh, I already said that. Our genius is present at the deepest levels of the arts and humanities. All of this is in spite of the overwhelming resistance to our learning by determined oppressors. Therefore, for many African teachers, tapping the genius and touching the spirit of African children is not a mystery. Not only can our children learn, they bring awesome intellect to the task. It is a routine manifestation of the African teacher's excellence to nurture this genius. Along with this, teaching content, character, and social bonds is our strength. African teachers worldwide share a cultural deep structure based upon an African worldview, a shared way of looking at the world and the human experience. This worldview channels the focus of African teachers, providing them with appropriate patterns for thought and practice. While it certainly is a practical necessity to get academic degrees and certification from non-African institutions, such teacher trainings and legitimization is really sorry. So we go far beyond these teachings. We go far beyond these things to reach our traditional higher standards, whether we work in public or in independent settings, whether we teach our own children or also teach the children of others. For the African teacher, teaching is far more than a job or simply a way to make a living. Students are not clients or customers. Our students and parents are our family. No sacrifice is too great for that family for its growth and enhancement. What is special about an African teacher? It is the worldview and the practice that comes from our worldview, even when it is a dim memory. A teacher of African ancestry who does not go beyond certification and degree in order to know and embrace an African worldview is not an African. Cultural excellence is the essence of an African teacher. In all of our achievings, we must get an understanding of ourselves and our heritage. Know Thyself by Naeem Akbar. Okay, yeah. This does not mean that we cannot learn from others. However, we must be critical learners, rejecting anything that is anti-African. African teaching precepts must be embedded in and must serve an African community. Traditionally, African communities have been identified by a shared belief in several key elements. It is these elements that are the foundation for African teachers. 1, the belief that the cosmos is alive. 2, the belief that spirituality is at the center of our being. 3, the belief that human society is a living spiritual part of the cosmos, not alien to it. 4, the belief that our people have a divine purpose and destiny. 5, the belief that each child is a living son, a divine gift of the Creator. 6, the belief that properly socialized our children will experience stages of transformation, moving towards perfection, that is being more like the Creator, Amen Ra, or Ra in the language of Kemet. They will try to live like God. 7, since the deep guiding principle of living like God is to follow Ma'at, truth, justice, righteousness, order, reciprocity, harmony, and balance, then African teachers focus the curriculum on the real and the true, on what was, what is, and on what can be, in keeping with divine principles. African teachers place a premium on bringing their students into a knowledge of themselves and a knowledge of their communities. African people place great value on who each person is and who the community is, and the honored place that each community of the family occupies with the community. 9, African teachers respect mastery and seek through apprenticeship to learn from true masters who are valued agents of the African community, who are steeped in the deep thought and behavior of the community, and who exhibit an abiding, unshakable primary loyalty to the community, and who are in constant community with the wise elders of the community. African teachers recognize the genius and the divinity of each of our children, speaking to and teaching to each child's intellect, humanity, and spirit. We do not question a child's possession of these things. In touching the intellect, humanity, and spirit, African teachers recognize the centrality of relationships between teachers and students, among students, and within the African community as a whole. 11, for the African teacher, teaching is a calling, a constant journey towards mastery, a scientific activity, a matter of community membership, an aspect of a learning community, a process of becoming a library, a matter of care and custody for our culture and traditions, a matter of critical viewing of the wider world, and a response to the imperative of Ma'at. 12, the African teacher is a parent, friend, guide, coach, healer, counselor, model, storyteller, entertainer, artist, architect, builder, minister, and advocate to and for students. A brief sample of African socialization can be found in the work. I don't know this word. I don't know how to pronounce this person's name, so bear with me. I'm just gonna spell it out because I really don't want to mess it up. Kimbwan Dende. Bunsky, Bunseki, Kiau, and A.M. Lukondo Wamba, master teachers and authors of Kindenzi, the Congo Art of Babysitting. The Kindenzi can only be perceived and understood through the social context of the community it serves as an art and a big social responsibility. It is through the role that Kindenzi plays in the community that one can appreciate its importance in the dingo process of shaping African social patterns. The quality and personality of the Ndezi, Ndezi / babysitter, make by influence the quality and personality of the child in the Sadulu, school place, and the community as well. Since it is the Ndezi with whom the child stays all day long, the future of the child will greatly reflect the impact of Kindezi, the art of babysitting, not only upon the child but upon its society itself. The contribution of Kindenzi in Bantu societies in general and the Congo in particular cannot be underestimated or denied. The role it plays in all aspects of community life is so great that it merits erection of a monument. Though things are rapidly changing today in Africa, the Kindenzi is a substructure still remains as a skill and are to be learned by all young community members, girls as well as boys, through an initiate and practical process as a Congo proverb would say, Kindenzi mufuma mu kanda. And then in parentheses, the art of babysitting is a baobab in the community. I think the baobab tree is what they're referencing, i.e. a strong supporter of community economic activities. Babysitting, Sala Sindezi, is not instinctively acquired as some would assume or pretend. Dingo Diena, Diena, is a process by which one discovers the mystery of human growth and reaches the total understanding of the psychology of the child. I 100% believe that child development courses should be required and free. Because one time I saw this video of this mom and she thought that like she was doing something wrong with her child and she was explaining what was happening, and I was like, girl, your child is developmentally on track, to be honest. Like, you're fine. But it was reflective of the fact that like child development courses are pretty much behind a paywall in terms of like going to college. I don't know that much because obviously I'm not a parent, but like, one, childcare should be free, housing should be free, food should be free, no one has to be here, like the earth is free, girl, like what the heck. But I think sometimes we fail our children when we don't respond to them at a developmentally accurate, appropriate way, or we get frustrated, or we just don't know. You know what I mean? And I have more to say on this topic, but you know what? I gotta shut up. Let me stop. You know what I mean? But anyways, by babysitting, one learns the wonderful skill of being responsible for another life and how to become a new living pattern. A living pattern is a model through which cultural values are transmitted from generation to generation. Through Kindenzi, Africans acquire this skill, a skill that has made the African not only one of the most religious human beings on earth, but also one of the most humanistic. African parents, mothers in particular, have a great concern about their children's childhood because they are aware that Kimbuta Kia Muntu, Bonsu Ki Muntu Ga Mata Baba. Let me know if I pronounce that correctly. One's leadership, like one's personality, finds its roots in the childhood. Let's highlight that in pink. I like the color pink. It's real cute. Oh yeah, but I have been working with kids since I was 15. I'm 22. I don't believe that there's ever such thing as a bad child. I will never ever say that. That you will never hear that come out of my mouth. A child is a reflection of the society that they are growing up in. A child is a product of their environment. Earlier events in the childhood life play an important role in adulthood. As such, great attention is paid to whoever has a role to play in the life of a child, the human being with the quickest copying mind. Children are like sponges, bro. Girl, you say one thing around them, they are going to repeat it forever. I swear. This basic understanding that childhood is the foundation which determines the quality of a society is the main reason that prompted African communities to make Kendenzi an art, or Kingete to be learned by all their members. Thus, Kendenzi is required in societies that want to prepare their members to become not only good fathers and mothers, but above all, people who care about life and who understand both humanly and spiritually the highly unshakable value of the human being that we all are. Big Purr. Typically, the African teacher leads a social collective process, one where social bonds are reinforced or created. In this social process, the destinies of the students are connected to each other, to their families, to their communities, to their ancestors, to those who are yet to be born, to their environment, to their traditions, to Ma'at as a way of life, and to their creator. From these few thoughts, one can see that the popular use of the African proverb, "it takes a whole village to raise a child," is interpreted in a very trivial way and is taken out of context. Africans who use this proverb understand it. It is a part of their worldview, their value system, a worldview and value system that may not be shared by those who quote Africans out of context. As Fu Kayu and Lukondu Wamba have shown above, the proverb is really about raising a village, not merely raising a child. It is not a matter of welfare as it is understood in the West. It really takes a whole village to raise itself. A village that values every member as a living son, a village to which the child belongs, a village where every child is shown that he or she will never be given away. Clearly, this is a different order of childcare. This is African teaching / socialization and incorporation of the child into the community. And what's really interesting, wait, let me finish this. And then what's really interesting is the way that in Black Feminist Thought by Patricia Hill Collins reflects this continuation of that. Okay, of it takes a village and everything. Okay. Africans never take teaching lightly. It is a sacred calling. The long night of slavery, colonization, apartheid, and white supremacy ideology ruptured the traditional bond between African teachers and their nurture, and even their memories of that nurture. We have been reduced in our expertise, lowered in our expectations, and limited in our goals. We have been dehumanized and despiritualized. We must return to the upward ways of our ancestors. We have not forgotten our aims, methods, and content. We must not bring shame to ourselves and upon our descendants. We must bring light to the world again. That's good. That's real good. Oh, he even talks about in his notes, his like bibliography, the miseducation of a Negro. Okay. Very big purr. Thank you for listening.